Hidden away in this typical Melbourne suburb is this brand new atypical home. And whilst its monastic exterior makes quite the statement, it's inside where the real story gets told. Wow, I tell you what, this house just never ends. How long is this?
The house is about 45 metres long. Concrete, I think, is misunderstood as a pellet. People take it as a cold product, but I feel it's got a really tangible and warm presentation about it.
Particularly when you have these little wood moments, it really warms up the space, doesn't it? And the whole thing just floats. I mean, you've almost hidden the two support poles in the mullions.
The whole idea is to let those columns dilute themselves within the window frames and allow the outside and inside to sort of merge into one.
For a house that has so many clean, minimal surfaces, they've done a beautiful job with the furnishings because it's so tactile and so warm, yeah?
They haven't over-furnished it, and they've let the space breathe.
You've got quite a lot of borrowed landscape here too, haven't you?
When we came to site, we noticed the surrounding vegetation.
Yes.
So when placing this precast panel, the intention was to open that slit to allow you to visually connect.
Yeah, you're almost bookending it with landscape.
If you read this space, you almost got 3 layers of sheets of concrete.
Yes.
We deal with corridor as 1, staircase as 2, and behind this one, we tuck this room away.
Oh, beautiful. I love the way the mirrors are just hanging.
Correct, and they create the divide now.
And you can still have a conversation with your partner while she's in bed, and you have a shower, and it's all very open and transient, isn't it? You wouldn't think of putting concrete in a bedroom, but it just works so well with all this beautiful soft linen, yeah?
The linen next to the concrete is so soft. In the evening, once the lights go on, it just softens the palette even further.
They must have felt incredible moving into this home for the first time, because it was quite a long build period, yeah?
It is, and it's quite different from what they're used to.
Yeah.
So they've maybe come from a conventional home into a 95% concrete and glass combination home.
I've got to say, Ainsley, you've done a beautiful job decorating this house.
Thank you, I'll take credit for that. I just went with what I liked. So there's a few brands that I like, there's a few styles that I like, and it's a bit of a mix of everything. And we've got elements of metal and leathers and different fabrics throughout the house, but the wood definitely softens it a little bit.
Were you surprised when this design was first presented to you?
We went to us asking for a concrete jungle.
You asked for a concrete jungle?
We sure did.
Wow.
I love it open, big, spacious. That was exactly what we wanted, so.
You waited a long time to move into this house, yeah?
It did take a little while, yeah.
And was that trying for the both of you?
Well, we lived with my mother-in-law while we did it, so you could say that adds to it.
Yes. Obviously, the family are super happy, but I've got to ask, how did the neighbourhood feel? Because this is a very progressive home in a fairly mid-century neighbourhood, yeah?
Well, my response is that we're not designing cars today and mimicking the same design of cars that were 60 years ago.
Yeah.
So while we're still trying to mimic house designs 60 years ago, we can advance them.
Exactly. Yeah, this is about advancing.
Correct.
Well, I've got to say, mate, I'm a big fan of your new frontier.
Thank you.
Faraz has created a lovely, warm, sophisticated family home using one of the most industrial building products around, concrete. But it's the gentle infusion of natural light, garden, textures, and even colour that has made all the difference.
In a classic Victorian street like this, you might not expect to see a minimalist family home. But behind this front door is exactly that, and it's gorgeous.
The house itself is one of a number of Victorian cottages along the street. We received ours in a pretty derelict condition. We had to redo the floors, we realigned walls. In the end, we just tried to express it in its sort of simplest form.
These bricks, these are striking as soon as you see them.
The project was designed, I guess, from the beginning with these in mind. The idea was to create a material that would complement the old, but at the same time reflect light through the interior and create a nice, warm, bright interior.
So it's very modern, but it still feels very Australian too.
Yeah, the idea is to use local materials as much as possible. The blocks themselves is Australian. the black butt joinery and the black butt furniture. And we've also got the Australian garden. The native plants create views both in and out, I guess instills that Australian feel. Design and light are two things that go hand in hand. The large apertures to the east obviously lets in that beautiful morning sunlight, but then we've got small apertures to the west, and that gives a more controlled effect of receiving light.
So you clearly have a distinct style in the studio.
Very perceptive of you. I definitely think the work that we do is reflective of us, and obviously, you know, down to the way we dress. The client was obviously attracted to, yes, the way that we work, but also our restraint when it comes to architecture and design.
And that restraint plays out in the materials as well?
Definitely. We really only have 3 materials in the space, so it's concrete, blockwork and timber.
And I must admit, this is not the first thing I think of when I think family home.
The space feels amazing when you're in here and actually relates to the family and how they live. When we initially got the clients on, they were a couple, just got engaged, they've since had a kid and another one on the way. Hopefully the entire house is flexible enough to be able to be adapted into the future, but I think, you know, one really great example is obviously that second living room, which was originally sort of an afternoons, Friday night knock-off sort of space for the couple, but has since turned into a nursery. So that's a really great example of how the perceived sort of reduction of the architecture can be morphed into something sort of more functional for the family.
The materials are the same as downstairs, but I can see that you've used them in a really different way.
Yeah, so we've actually reversed it. We're sort of leaving behind the white brick and creating sort of a warm, immersive feel for the timber.
And this screen too.
Yeah, so the screen's there to block out the harsh light that comes through, creating a really beautiful, warm, inviting space for the master bedroom. So as we arrive into the master bedroom, it's a really different space to what is downstairs, and it's a nice, really warm and inviting. It's a space that sort of looks to sort of, I guess, hug you as you come in. You know, the beautiful warm timber on the floors and walls really give it a nice sense of space. The idea was to create a sort of a centre insertion, which was the kitchen, and it sort of rises upstairs to the master bedroom.
And it continues on into the bathroom as well?
So the idea there was basically to create a real sort of seamless line from the master bed into the master bath, creating a sort of a really beautiful, large space to be in.
So a lot of the furniture you've designed here yourselves?
The bed was a custom piece. The client had some thoughts about how large it could be, and so we sort of designed him a really large, spacious bed for him and his wife.
Strong, minimal design can seem easy to do because there's nothing to it. But in fact, the opposite is true because the design is front and centre. And here, it deserves to be.